My UFO story happened on our family property in Grover, Utah, 7 or 8 years ago. It's kind of a family tradition. The ranch sits on hundreds of acres, so there's nothing around there that could even account for kind of what we saw this night. So the family always gets together on the front porch and watches the sun go down in the west. And it's just because there's not much else to do out there. And one night, the sun had gone down. It had been down for, quite some time, and it was dark, and the kids were jumping on the tramp and stuff, so we were just out there sort of gathering. And it was me and my wife, and my uncle and his wife, my aunt, and just sitting there talking, and out across one of the fields and up on a little mountain, we saw a huge kind of strobe light hit the floor and began lighting up the trees around it. And it was big enough that it caught all of our attention. It wasn't big enough to kind of alarm us, but my uncle said, what's search and rescue doing out this far? And because it's private property, we're like, well, who's on the property anyway? So, and then it was far enough away that we couldn't see what kind of this light was coming from, but it was close enough to know that we should have been able to hear kind of rotor blades if it was search and rescue. And so we all quieted down. My uncle made that point. He said, actually, if that's search and rescue, we should hear the thump thump, of the helicopter blades. And so we quieted down. We quieted the kids down on the tramp, and we just kind of all listened for a minute. And there was no sound whatsoever. And I said, hold on. I'm gonna go grab my camera. So I went and got my video camera, and I actually have a piece of this on my camera. So I came back just in time to see the light go off. Of course, and it was sort of cloudy that night, but not totally cloudy. There was just some kind of fatter clouds out there, and this thing kind of went up in the clouds, and then the light came back on like in the cloud, so that it highlighted the ring of the cloud. So we sat there and watched that for a little bit, and then it just clicked off. Never heard anything fly away, never heard any rotor blades take off, never heard anything. It just clicked off. I'm about as skeptical as it gets, because if we feel like there are UFOs actually visiting, why haven't they visited with a purpose? Why do they always show up to some toothless dude out in the middle of the bayou, besides me? So I'm actually super skeptical based on sort of their intent. I mean, for how many civilizations do they need to just sort of study without making contact? So I'm not really sure how this all fits into my sort of paradigm, but for sure there was something there, and for sure my aunt and uncle and and a bunch of my family saw it without any sort of explanation. And I think that's largely the definition. It's just an unidentified flying object. I'm not suggesting they're necessarily spacemen or whatever, but it was certainly unidentified that day and certainly unexplainable.
So this story, this UFO story took place in 1992, and I know that because that's the year I got married. When we got married, we didn't have 2 cents to scratch together, but for our wedding, we got about $1,000 in cash. So I thought the best use of my $1,000 would be to buy a Volkswagen bus. So we bought this Volkswagen bus, and I thought we were going to go drive around the coast of California for the summer and have a good time. And on the way down from San Francisco to LA, we got on the I-5, and we were heading down to LA, and it's probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, about 3 miles ahead of us, we saw this light out in the sky, and everybody in the van saw it. So this isn't just me talking, this was my wife. We had about 3 other people in the bus, and this light came straight down and landed right smack in the middle of the freeway. And as we got closer and closer, and it couldn't have been an airplane, it couldn't have been anything because it landed right on the freeway, but as we got closer, this big bright light shot back up in the sky. And it wasn't, we know it wasn't a helicopter because it was way too, it just shot into the sky. And we all tripped out. That was the summer of '92.